In this video, we are going to teach you how to get survey-grade accuracy out of the DJI D-RTK-2 base station and DJI's RTK series of enabled drones. Surveyors and engineers who work with the Phantom 4 RTK are likely familiar with the black box nature of the D-RTK-2 base station. Aerotos has been working with this system since October 2018, and what we found was that the DJI base station, when paired with the Phantom 4 RTK, is capable of calculating image geolocation with high precision but low accuracy. And that might work for some, but it's definitely not good enough for surveyors and engineers. As a result, we've been recommending using a PPK processing workflow with a third-party base station from providers like Trimble or Leica. However, we were determined to realize the full potential of the Phantom 4 RTK system. So our flight ops team has been working in R&D mode trying to get accurate and reliable results out of the D-RTK-2 base station. And after months of rigorous trials with the base station and RTK enabled, we finally cracked the code. We have developed a combined field and office workflow that enables you to lock the relative accuracies in the photogrammetry processing and shift the entire project to match a single ground control point. So why so much testing? Well, we want to make sure that this workflow is reliable, accurate, and efficient. So what does this mean for you? Ultimately, this leads to less field work and even faster processing times, and every minute saved is more money in your pocket. The true potential of this advanced system has finally been unlocked for survey-grade data, and we're going to show you how to use it from field to finish. The first step is data collection, and this begins in the office. For those of you who are familiar with creating a mission in the Phantom 4 RTK and the built-in GSRTK app, the process is no different from how you would typically plan your mission. For those unfamiliar with mission planning in the Phantom 4 RTK, see the link in the description below. For this workflow, you will need the drone, and in this case we're using a Phantom 4 RTK, but a Matrice 210 RTK can be used as well. You will also need the controller, a base station, a fresh memory card, and enough batteries for everything. In the field, you're still going to need to set at least one ground control point, but we highly recommend setting 2 to 3 ground control points spread out throughout the site for a little bit of additional redundancy. And we'll go over ground control in a bit more detail later. The first step is to set up the DJI base station. You'll want to set it up in an area free from obstructions with ample direct access to the sky and minimal interference. And that means away from buildings, trees, cars, power lines, etc. It's not necessary to set the base station up over a known point. In fact, a major part of this workflow was designed because occupying a known point with the DJI base station really doesn't work very well. It produces unreliable results, and it doesn't support common coordinate systems like NAD83 or local coordinate systems that surveyors usually use. The D-RTK-2 base station has 3 buttons and indicator lights: the link indicator, power indicator, and the operating mode indicator. The link indicator shows the status of the OcuSync system, or the connection between the base, the controller, and the aircraft. The power indicator shows the quality of the connection of the base to the satellite network. The operating mode indicator tells us what mode it's in based on the number of flashes. After you've found a suitable location for the base station, using the middle button, power on the DJI base station using the same methodology as all DJI products. Just tap once, then tap and hold until the unit powers on. You'll hear the internal fan start whirring as the device powers on. Once it's on, let the system initialize. And once initialized, you should see 3 lights. The link indicator should be red, and the power indicator should be green. It may blink red at first, which indicates low satellite signal, and that's okay. It should find enough during the rest of the setup and eventually turn green. The operating mode indicator should be on mode 1, which is represented by a slow single flash. If it's flashing 2 times rapidly or 3 times rapidly, or not at all, you'll need to press and hold the mode button until the mode has changed to mode 1. It's important to not move or turn off the base station for the remainder of the setup and flight. The base station should be the first piece of equipment you set up and turn on, and the last piece of equipment that you turn off and pack up. The next step is to power on your controller. The controller will then need to be linked to the mobile station. To do this, tap Fly on the controller's main screen and go to the General Settings menu in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, and then open up the RTK menu. Make sure that RTK is turned on. For RTK service type, select D-RTK-2 mobile station, and the unit should link up automatically. If the unit doesn't link up automatically, click the linking button at the bottom and press the link button on the mobile station. It should start to blink red and green rapidly to indicate linking. Once linking is successful, the remote controller indicator and the link indicator should both be solid green. If the indicator is flashing green, this means it's connected, but it has a less than optimal OcuSync signal. Now, once that's set up, turn on the aircraft. If the aircraft doesn't link automatically after a minute or two, you may have to manually force that link as well. There are a few ways to do this, but the easiest way is to go to the RC tab in the menu and link the aircraft. And after the aircraft is linked, you will have a link to the base station again in the RTK menu. After the aircraft is linked, it may throw errors and claim that it can't take off. Let the system sort itself out for a minute or two, and don't turn off the aircraft or base station during this time. Wait for the status bar to turn green and for the RTK status on the HUD to display RTK fix on the top status bar. Double check that the status on the controller and status lights on the base are all proper to ensure the connections one last time before flying the mission. Now that all the indicators are green and you've selected your desired mission, you can begin the flight. Throughout the flight, the status bar should stay green and the RTK signal lock should stay strong. There's a slight chance that you will experience an RTK signal error, and this is likely temporary if it happens at all. If that happens, you'll want to pause the mission until an RTK lock has been reestablished, as every photo taken without an RTK lock would need to be PPK processed, and that can increase the overall processing time and decrease overall accuracy. If you're using the Phantom 4 RTK, you're likely flying multiple battery missions. When the drone is returned home automatically, or by using the Return to Home button, an abandonment point will be recorded. And when the drone returns, only power down the drone, leaving the controller on and the base station on, and then swap the battery. Your mission plan with abandonment point should remain on the screen the entire time. After the drone is powered back up, it will likely throw error codes much as it did initially, before eventually showing an RTK fix status. Give the system a minute to work through all the errors until you get that RTK fix. To resume the mission, tap the document icon on the left side of the screen while in the mission HUD and select the mission that you're currently flying. The screen will now give you the option to invoke the mission again, and the drone will resume from the abandonment point. Repeat these steps as necessary until the completion of your mission. Now that you have your RTK-enabled pictures, it's time for processing. Here at Aerotos, we offer this processing as a service to our clients, but we offer this workflow for free to the broader public to encourage high-quality data processing within the land surveying community and to demonstrate how we would process your data. If you'd like Aerotos to process data for you, you can request a quote on our website at aerotos.com/quote. Aerotos is proudly powered by Pix4D, which is our photogrammetry software of choice. However, this workflow is possible in other photogrammetry software suites as well. The first step is to process the Sparse point cloud. Once the project site has been flown, bring all of the photos into your photogrammetry software and process the Sparse point cloud at full resolution using the geolocation data that's already embedded into the photos from the drone. At this step, do not mark or integrate any ground control points or checkpoints until the processing is complete, the cameras have been appropriately calibrated, and the Sparse point cloud is fully generated. It's always a good idea to perform basic quality assurance steps on this step prior to continuing. The next step is to adjust the project to align with ground control data. Once the Sparse point cloud is done processing, integrate the single ground control point that was measured into the Sparse point cloud model. Then measure the offset between the single ground control point's computed position, which is going to be based on the photos and the geolocation tag, and the measured position, which should have been measured in the field. Take this offset and apply it to the entire project in the X, Y, and Z dimensions. The methodology that we prefer for offsetting a project in this manner is to create a number of dummy ground control points in Pix4D, and then apply that XYZ offset to their calculated positions in order to create a consistent offset across the entire project. The next step is to run quality assurance checks. After offsetting the entire project by the error that was in the primary ground control point, you should perform a more detailed quality assurance checks. This should integrate any checkpoints that were measured in the field to ensure accuracy, while also ensuring that the photogrammetry model was not mistakenly uncalibrated from when it was first processed. It's recommended to fully reprocess the sparse point cloud with all of the control and checkpoints integrated to ensure complete data integrity. The next step is to process the full resolution outputs. Assuming the photogrammetric model has passed all quality assurance tests, proceed to processing the full resolution photogrammetry outputs, such as the point cloud, orthophoto, and DSM. And then you need to draft line work and integrate your data into CAD. From this point forward, the process is identical for this workflow and for all other drone photogrammetry workflows. You can extract your own line work and topography data, or you can work with Aerotos to get line work drafted for you. At Aerotos, we provide all of these services and more to surveyors and engineers throughout the country. So if you'd like to learn more about how Aerotos can help your company get better data, visit us at aerotos.com. We hope you found this workflow useful. As always, we welcome any questions or feedback that you might have, and you can reach us at support@aerotos.com. Check out the description for some answers to frequently asked questions. And thanks for watching.